want to talk today about a historical badass whose work is, if it was ever more relevant than now, or if there ever was a time it was more relevant than now, I'm not sure, given our kind of free speech, safe space debate that's occurring in popular discourse. And that guy is John Stuart Mill. And he was an English philosopher, political theorist, again, badass. So he wrote this autobiography that I have been perusing, and I think it's a lot of fun. And one thing I wanted to point out quickly was, or I want to start off with, in his first paragraph, and I think this is kind of a convention at the time, but I just enjoy the hell out of it. He kind of gives his very first paragraph of his autobiography is explaining why anyone would want to read this, even though he doesn't think, being the author, that it's he had much of an interesting life, right? So kind of a humble brag, maybe not a humble brag, but kind of a, he's setting the bar a little low, saying, hey, well, why would I do this? Well, here's something interesting outside of me that I'm going to share through my autobiography. And I love the way he kind of adds a little put down to the reader. So he sets this up by saying, it seems proper that I should prefix the following biographical sketch some mention of the reasons which have made me think it desirable that I should leave behind such a memorial of so uneventful a life as mine. Okay, so mine, I don't imagine for a moment any part of what I can relate can be interesting to the public as a narrative or being connected with myself. A little odd given it's your autobiography, but okay, John. But he's like, I'm going to relate about my education and what's important. And then if we go further into it, we can see that, as he says, the reader, that he's talking about education, the reader whom these things do not interest has only himself to blame if he reads farther, and I do not desire any other indulgence from him than that of bearing in mind that for him these pages were not written. So it's kind of like, hey, if you're not interested, I'm going to talk about my education and I'm going to tell you about my life. But if you don't think that's interesting, well then fuck you. Don't read any further or farther. Is it further or farther? That's a good question, John. I'm not sure. But anyway, I do kind of like that setup from the beginning. He starts one sentence or two, hey, I'm humble. And then he ends with, oh, by the way, if you don't like this, then piss off. So kudos to you, John. Definitely check out John Stuart Mill's autobiography. It's a lot of fun.